This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, December 9th, 2005, and this is episode number 34 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hochberg from MGMstudios.org. Our panel today includes Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, guys.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show for what are we up to 3-4 times now, Mike?
Shut up.
It's a streak.
And we've also got trip planning guru Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
To all that come to this happy place, welcome.
And we've also got Len Testa of TouringPlans.com. Welcome, Len.
Welcome, weary travelers.
Hey, Len, I think we are going to be challenging our readers to a biometric test. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. One of the things that we're it's a request direct from Bob Selinger. One of the things that we would like to for our readers to try is to see how closely Disney's biometric system tracks your fingers. For guests who've been to the parks before, you know that all of the Magic Your Way tickets are biometrics now. So the first time you use the tickets, your finger measurements are stored somewhere on the ticket, so that the system can identify you the next time around, next time the ticket's used. And the purported purpose of this is so that you can't give the ticket to somebody else and have them be admitted into the park. Now, one of the things that the unofficial guide noticed after we had after the system had been implemented was that it was taking everyone a really long time to get through the turnstiles. In some cases, it was averaging about one person per minute through the turnstiles because of this new biometric system. But lately, we've noticed that it's about one person every 30 seconds that can get through the turnstiles. So we think Disney might have loosened the restrictions around the biometrics, the check, to let there be a wider variation in what the finger sensor is reading. So what we'd like our readers to do is, if they're headed over to Walt Disney World in the next couple of weeks, would like any two people, preferably a male and a female, to switch their tickets and try and get in. So, for example, if you've got a husband and a wife, have the husband and wife swap their tickets so that the husband has the wife's ticket and the wife has the husband's ticket, and try and get into the parks and see if it works. And email us back with the results here at wdwtoday.com, and we'll post the results of successes and failures on our website.
That's right. You can email us, of course, at questions@wdwtoday.com. Let us know how it goes. Give us the story, and we'll compare it all, and I'm sure we'll mention it on the show exactly how it went. And although today is our Friday show, we're so backlogged with questions that we're going to do a question show again today. So, without further ado.
Plus, we're all still exhausted from Mouse Fest, so none of us can think straight, and it's Thursday. But go ahead.
So our first question comes from Kai of Manchester, United Kingdom, and Kai asks us, "I have yet another question for you guys. I've heard rumors that Disney is planning a new theme park based on Disney baddies, for example, Corel, DeVille, Jafar, etc. Is this true? If so, an idea when it is going to be opened?"
Not true.
I don't think so. I think the closest they came. Len, do you recall that at one point they were going to build a villain's theme area where they now have Pooh's Playful Spot? I had heard that several years back.
Possibly. I mean, that would be the most aggressive plans that I've even heard rumored, is that they would build something outside of Fantasyland. But even then, I don't see any major construction projects like that in the works for a very long time. Certainly no fifth park. I mean, there's not. Animal Kingdom still isn't meeting its financial projections, from what I understand. So they need to beef up they need to finish the Animal Kingdom. Heck, they need to finish the studios before they go out build another a fifth park.
Yep. Just
my opinion.
Our next question comes from Mario of Corpus Christi, Texas, and he says, "Hey guys, I love your podcast. I've been faithfully listening to them for the past few weeks. And I was wondering if anyone on the panel has any information on kids clubs at the deluxe resorts and which ones they would recommend for a 5-year-old girl."
I've never tried it. Didn't the one at the Boardwalk close?
I would have no idea.
I have no idea. I don't have a
Not having
5-year-old
children,
girl.
I wouldn't know either.
I'm not a 5-year-old girl, so I'm not too certain on that.
Let's see, who...
Hey, but all the
who-
time you hang around them? I mean, what?
Len, not on the show.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Who on these? Let's see. Who on this panel has a daughter?
I do, actually, but we've never...
What?
Len makes his daughter go and get, hotel assessments for the book.
Exactly. He was out there doing research like everyone else did.
Gotta
Kids
do
gotta
a
earn their
bio
keep.
stuff. Yeah.
No, we I know all the fairy godmother service in Disney always gets high marks, so I wouldn't hesitate to use those. Essentially, I feel pretty comfortable with any of the groups that Disney's vetted in terms of in terms of services like that.
I would also recommend checking out. We had Steve the Tiki Man on a couple weeks ago, and on his website, if you're interested in the the Neverland Club at Polynesian Hotel.
Yeah, I know there's the Neverland Club, and I've actually
I was
toured
at
the
the Contemporary.
Neverland Club. It didn't look bad at all.
Okay. I would recommend, though, going to Steve's website. We'll put a link in the show notes for you, Mario. And you can take a look over there. I'm sure he's got a description of it, of the Neverland Club, which is, of course, one of the offerings at one of the deluxe resorts. Our next question comes from John Skrabek. Definitely screwed that one up. Of Denver, Colorado. And he says, we'll be staying at the Boardwalk Villas on an upcoming trip in December and won't have a car. Is there any place on property to get grocery, staples, breakfast, foods, laundry detergent, snacks, water without having to rent a car and travel off property?
Downtown Disney has a small grocer, but if you're, what I would do is take a taxi to the Crossroads Plaza,
Yeah.
and isn't there a Publix or like an Albertsons or something there?
There's a Goodings in there.
Goodings, that's it. I mean,
go.
it's going to be cheaper than anything else.
It'll
I
be
would-
cheaper than taking a taxi or renting a car to go shopping. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of those vacation club resorts have a small general store type area where you can get
Yeah,
those things.
Yet that's really expensive, though. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
We just did price checks of those as part of our hotel review. I mean, a 2-liter bottle of soda is going to run you more than $3. A 6-pack of domestic beer is anywhere between $11 and $12. I mean, you're definitely gonna
You're going to pay for
save
it,
some
that's
money.
for sure.
You definitely make up the cost of the taxi by ordering by going off site.
I would recommend if you want to skip DME, and that's Disney's magical experience, and take a taxi back and forth. Many of them offer a stop at a local supermarket on the way over there from the airport to the hotel, so you can work that in, and you don't have to go, during your visit. So that could be an opportunity for you, since they offer it in the price of the service over there, so that you can kill two birds with one stone in that regard.
Yeah, but I would definitely go to the Goodings or a Publix or something like that. I mean, there's, the amount of money it's going to cost you to go to stay on site it just isn't worth it.
All right, and our next question comes from, as I pull up the question very quickly, comes from Joe of Pennsylvania, who says, we're planning to go to Disney World in June for 2 weeks and spend 1 week at the Wilderness Lodge and then the second week at the Polynesian. Now, I've heard you talk about the Polynesian, so my question is, how should I make the most of my time at the Wilderness Lodge? What are the best things to do there, and what makes it so great?
At the Wilderness Lodge?
Yes.
I mean, the theming is... Somebody else can talk, Mike. I mean, the theming is really strong. I like the pool. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the pool is pretty neat. What's nice, what I like about the Wilderness Lodge is that it's a really, it's connected to Fort Wilderness, and there's a real nice jogging path to Fort Wilderness, and you can walk along that path and get to Trails End Buffeteria, and that's a very good place in Fort Wilderness to have breakfast and lunch or dinner. I like that connection. I think that one of the other things I like about the Wilderness Lodge is that you can take a launch right to the Magic Kingdom.
Whispering Canyon Cafe is also quite good, as I've heard.
That's awesome.
Yeah, speaking of Trails End, I had breakfast there Thursday, actually. And did I tell you that they have an entire section of the breakfast bar dedicated to donuts and pastries?
Do they?
I mean, really. Again, further proof that Western civilization continues to advance. I love
Hey,
it.
Len, were those donuts Krispy Kreme? Because I had breakfast at Trails End, and they had Krispy Kreme donuts there.
I don't think they were, actually. They were. They looked to be larger and Well, they look to be larger than regular Krispy Kreme donuts.
Hey, Mike Scopa, did I hear some resentment about Whispering Canyon?
I didn't like it. Last time I ate in Whispering
just
Canyon
okay.
was December 2004, and I was not that impressed.
Actually, we stayed there. We stayed at Wilderness Lodge last year in January when I ran the marathon. Spring Canyon's okay. That service wasn't great, and the food was just okay.
Yeah.
If you have kids, it's a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah. The entertainment is good.
Because it was funny. I was down with all my nieces and nephews 2 years ago, and I asked for a large soda. They gave me, I'm telling you, it must have been an 8-gallon tub with a straw in it.
Oh, you're asking
And-
for a straw.
The looks on the kids' faces were priceless, and they were like, "Did you really order that much soda?" I'm like, "No, it's a joke."
Or if you ask
Yeah,
for
you
ketchup.
can do things like ketchup and things like
Right.
that.
Yeah,
Ketchup. Yeah, that's great. That part's okay. I just don't think the food's that great. One thing, if you're staying at the Wilderness Lodge, be sure to ask not to be put on a room that overlooks the lobby, because if you're trying to go to bed before 10 o'clock at night,
I get it.
the noise from the Whispering Canyon will just keep you up until they close down. I think they sing Happy Birthday right at 10 p.m., and it's that's when it starts to quiet down. But before that, it's just raucous. I mean, you can't get anything done.
Any other building or room suggestions for
You
Wilderness?
want to stay as far away from the main lobby as you can.
All right. Our next question comes from Phil DeLucia, and he asks, on a recent podcast, you mentioned an explosion on one of the fireworks barges in Epcot. It didn't damage the globe of television screens, which opens up into a huge torch, did it? Illuminations is one of my favorite attractions in Walt Disney World, and I hate to see it damaged in any way.
No, it didn't damage that.
Yeah, it was just there was just a barge that launched a number of fireworks, and that's the only thing that damaged. The globe is fine. After seeing holiday illuminations the other day, I would say that it's not as noticeable. Not really, at least.
It's called the Inferno barge, right? It was the thing that spit out fire, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's still a. Len, you would, as the resident Illuminations fanboy, you would say that it's still up to par, right?
Amazingly, and I can't believe this because I probably would have given up one of my 9 hours of sleep that I got during Mouse Fest to see it, but I didn't actually get to see the holiday illuminations this year. I'm waiting for it the video to be posted on wdwmagic.com so I can see it. It was sadly I didn't get a chance to see it this year.
Our next question comes from Jeff of Everett, Washington. He says, we were planning another trip to Walt Disney World, and upon opening our Disney file, we found some old Park Hopper tickets. We are unsure of how many days left on them, and I called Disney, and they are incredibly unhelpful, which is very surprising. I was told that I needed to go to the property and find out how many days remained. Is there any way in advance to find out how many days are left on the tickets?
Nope. A lot of people are under the impression that they can take those to a Disney store, and there's a special reader in the Disney store that will say, oh, you have 2 days left, but there is no way other than bringing them down to the park. And I'm not even sure if guest relations at a resort front desk can do it. Len, is it just I think it's just the parks. I think you have to bring it into the parks.
I think you really have to go to guest relations. Maybe the resorts can do it if they've got a reader,
maybe.
but
The guest relations can do it, because I remember I had some old tickets that I needed to figure out.
Well, they can.
And they quickly told me that you have no days left, sir.
did they really?
You lose, sir.
Good day, sir.
Nice try,
Day.
sir.
I said good day. Classic.
Our next question comes from Jay of Saco, Maine. A lot of Maine questions today. My question is about the child park hopper with no expiration. If you buy the child's no expiration ticket, and the child, now 5, does not use all of his or her days and goes back to the parks when the child is an adult age, let's say 15, will this person be allowed to use the remaining days on the child ticket, even though this person is no longer a child? An interesting question.
Probably no.
Yeah.
I had a friend who did that, and I believe that she was told that they could use that ticket because at the time it was purchased, The other child was under 10, and it was in her name and stuff, so they could use it. So
Yeah, if you use how long ago did they start putting names on tickets?
With the Magic Your Way.
Okay, well, perhaps at that point, then, if they have got the name on it, I can't imagine there would be any problem if you supplied identification.
especially if it's no expiration, I mean, you come back when you're 20. That's
No,
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to fly. But I mean, we should definitely hear back from the listener when they try this. I just don't think they're. I mean, what would prevent you from buying tickets now for?
That's a good point for children tickets and trying to use them then.
Yeah.
Or maybe if they've already been used, though, or maybe if it's just one day left, they wouldn't push it. Maybe
could
they'd
try
allow
it.
them to go.
I don't know. Let's all buy children's tickets and try it out next time.
Yeah, we need to try it. Maybe Disney will send us a letter from the legal department.
Yeah. Another cease and desist. We've already got the one this week.
Cease
Thanks.
and desist, yeah.
Yeah, while they're closing down the podcast. Oh, and by the way, you can't use those tickets.
Yeah. Exactly.
Our next question comes from Jeff of Deltona, Florida. And he says, "Hello, Walt Disney World cast. I heard about the menu change at Ohana's back in September and was wondering if any of you have tried it since then, or had they heard anything positive or negative about the change?"
Who wants
Mr.
to go
Scopa?
first? Well, let's see. Yes, it has changed, and it's who wrote this, Matt? What was the name of our?
It's Jeff, who is married to Francesca, because I remember this because they were our first emailers way back when.
Jeff, remember when David Lee Roth left Van Halen and Sammy Hagar was the replacement? And remember when he left and Gary Cherone became the lead singer?
Well, let me,
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say to Jeff, if you have already visited Ohana's and you have already experienced the Ohana dinner in the past, then I have a feeling that you will be very disappointed when you go back, because a lot of the things that would have brought you back to Ohana's are gone. Especially if you like the pineapple dipped in caramel. Especially if you like the coconut snowball. Especially if you like to see the shrimp on skewers. Especially if you like to see that lazy Susan in the middle of the table. It has changed quite a bit, and I was very disappointed when I went back in October. And I talked with the chef there, and I told him that I thought it was a shame that he had been instrumental in changing their signature entrees, their signature desserts, and I told them that I would expect them to change it back in about 6 to 9 months. So we'll see what happens. So I'm very disappointed, but if you've never been there before, have a nice meal. But that's how I feel. Len?
Well, Len, do you have any comments on that?
No, my brother and sister-in-law went in October as well and had a lengthy chat with the chef. The thing that I don't understand about the menu is the addition of au gratin potatoes, which, I mean, I don't see how it fits in the Polynesian theme. The chef, from what I understand, the rationale behind it was that guests want comfort food. Granted, guests might want comfort food, but I think they could have done it a little bit better than au gratin potatoes at a Polynesian-themed restaurant. I can handle the shrimp thing. I would have been okay with that. And I'm not a big coconut eater, so I would have been okay with that too. But I don't. It remains to be seen how popular these menu changes are. I will tell you this: prior to the menu change, we heard almost uniformly good things about Ohana. Now it's essentially 50-50 split, with some people saying, yeah, it's not that bad, especially newcomers, and 50% of the people saying, yeah, I don't really like it that much. So, but we'll see what the restaurant surveys say when they come out. That'll be interesting.
Well, our last question, I guess this is a good question for Len, is from Todd Anger of Wauwatosa, Wisconsin.
Wauwatosa.
Wauwatosa. Have you been there, Mike?
No, and probably never will.
Well, the question is from Todd is, how do the basic room sizes vary from the value resorts, the moderate, to the deluxe resorts?
It's a good question.
Wow.
I think the value resorts, like the All-Stars and the Pop Century, are around 260 square feet. So roughly a box that's about 13 by 20. So, and I've always wanted to tell people to do this. Todd, you might want to give this a shot. If you have a roll of masking tape and you have a room big enough in your house, try and block off a square that's roughly 260 square feet. Again, 13 by 20. You can do the math. 18 by whatever, and see how big that is. In comparison, some of the rooms that the deluxes approach or exceed 400 square feet. So again, you can do a box, roughly 20. I think some of the yacht club rooms are like in mid 20s in terms of length, and they're about 15 or 16 feet wide. They're pretty decent sized rooms. I mean, noticeably bigger. The question I've always had about square footage is whether Disney counts things like the bathrooms and the area under the sink in the square footage, because typically when you're buying a house, bathrooms don't count in square footage, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
Take your word for it.
I don't think they do.
That's a good question.
But Disney might, and especially if there's that area underneath the sink, which is like another 10 or 12 square feet, depending on, because if I recall correctly, the sinks are like 26 inches deep. Some of them are like 4 or 5 feet wide. There's like 8, 10 square feet in there somewhere. So it's going to be like that. And the moderates are going to be in the mid-3s, 340 square feet, somewhere in there, if that helps. We have all the square footage in the unofficial guide. You'll see it done two ways. Number one is Disney's measurements. Number two is we've actually gotten tape measures and measured it down to the nearest inch.
But Len, what about the Caribbean? Isn't the Caribbean the largest of the moderates? Isn't the Caribbean? Doesn't the Caribbean have larger rooms than the other two?
No, we'll have to go back and look. We just did the Caribbean back in October. I'll have to go back and check the.
Pretty sure.
Check the measurement. I will say that the room, both. In fact, we just stayed there last week too, as well. Sorry, the Caribbean rooms that we had in October tested very well. In the hotel survey, the mattress was like a year or two old. Lighting was superlative, especially for a moderate. I think it was second only to the Coronado Springs in terms of brightness. The air conditioning, not only did it work, but it was accurate.
Not only did it work.
Yeah, well, sometimes if you look at the digital thermometers, the room temperature will say 68 and it's really 71. So you look for something within a degree or two of what the actual temperature should be within a degree or two of what the digital thermometer says. The TVs weren't that bad. There was adequate storage, I thought. Overall, it was a pretty decent room. I don't remember how the pillows tested in terms of fluffiness, but the Caribbean beach wasn't bad.
I'll recommend what Len mentioned before in the unofficial guide. They've got actually in the 2006 version. They have each room's layout just like side by side, and you go through, compare quickly, eyeball it between Resort A and Resort B, and it's really helpful if you're interested in figuring out just what the differences are in layout and room size.
Well, I think that the Caribbean is about 340 square feet compared to the 314 for Coronado, Port Orleans, French Quarter, and Port Orleans Riverside.
It's almost as if you had a reference right next to you.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? So it's like,
wow, off your head, Mike. Real nice.
Yeah. What's really funny, here's something that people may not know, and that is that the Caribbean beach rooms are of the same size as the Wilderness Lodge rooms.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. I'm telling you, the Wilderness Lodge is a moderate resort.
Yeah, it is.
It's like an upscale moderate with really good theming. And that Disney prices it like that. The room amenities are like that. It's an upscale moderate. It's not. I don't think it's a deluxe resort at all.
Well, that's it for us today. If you'd like your
who
questions,
haven't we offended on this? Have we missed someone? We'll get the bus drivers in the next one. Okay.
That's right.
Right.
They love you.
If you've got your own questions, be sure to email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. Or if you have a show intro for Mike Scopa to say next time, we'd love to hear those as well. I'm sure he's looking for some new material.
Oh, yeah.
Be sure to visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.wdwtoday.com for the show notes. And you can also send us some comments or shoot us an email, which, of course, is at questions@wdwtoday.com. As always, our new shows are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays every week. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.